I love J.J. Abrams. 10 Cloverfield Lane. So 10 Cloverfield Lane is a movie starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead, John Goodman, and John Gallagher Jr., and it's set in the world of 2008's Cloverfield. Producer J.J. Abrams describes this movie as a blood relative of Cloverfield, and it really is. If you're looking for references within this movie to the original Cloverfield, there really aren't any. There are some really subtle ones, but you really gotta be listening for them. And there's one or two in this movie. So the main character in this movie is Michelle, played by Mary Winstead, and keeping it vague because there's really not too much revealed about the plot about this movie. She's driving and then she gets into a car accident. She wakes up in this bunker underground. John Goodman shows up. He's like, hey, yeah, by the way, the rest of the world, they're all dead. You gotta stay down here, do exactly as I say, and you, me, and Emmett, played by John Gallagher Jr., are gonna be one happy family forever. And immediately you're like, excuse me? And I will say everything about this movie was great. From the first shot in the movie, I'm not gonna say what it is, but the first shot in the movie established so well what the tone of this movie was gonna be. I did really like the cinematography. The movie was shot really well. But I'm gonna get right down to this. John Goodman in this movie. Holy shit. His character, Howard Stambler, was creepy as hell. He was mean. He was a prick, but you could tell he was paranoid about this world. But you don't know whether he's feeding you lies. Is everyone out there really dead, or is he just out of his mind? But if you try to escape this bunker, he's got a gun. And on top of that, he's got that really mean face. I was like, I want to confront him, but at the same time, I'm scared shitless of him. His character definitely makes you feel uncomfortable in the best way possible. And I would say he stole the movie, but I would be lying, because Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Gallagher Jr. were also great. John Gallagher Jr. as Emmett pretty much was the comic relief character of the film. He was the funny one, and there were laughs to be had in this movie because of the dialogue was really clever and funny. The situation is really dire and claustrophobic, but in that, there are some laughs to be had. Even John Goodman had some funny moments, but Emmett was the comic relief character. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim, she was great in this movie. Because you can tell, waking up in this cellar underground, it's a whole entire new situation for her. You feel like Trell at the beginning of Portal 2. You're you wake up in this world, you don't know shit, and things are just transpiring around her okay, wow, this is insane. And one thing I really liked about this movie was the unpredictability of the plot. I like unpredictability in a movie, and J.J. Abrams is pretty much the master of that. One thing I love about J.J. Abrams is that he avoids the cliches. He stays so far away from the cliches, oh, the predictability of it, this is what's gonna happen. His mindset is oh no, what if we did this? What if we went in this direction? Originality, uniqueness, that's so rare in movies these days. That's why J.J. Abrams is one of my favorite filmmakers at this point. And I'm also kind of glad that this is not a found footage movie like the first Cloverfield was, because that means this movie's allowed to have a music score. And it's fantastic. Barry McCreary wrote the music for this movie. The dude's a really good composer. He wrote the music for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Battlestar Galactica. The first scene in this movie, there's no sound effects, there's no dialogue, it's just music. And it engrossed me into the movie and the world so much, I was like, I know I'm in for something special. And I was right. This is one of those movies that you gotta see opening weekend with a big audience, because there are quite a few audible reactions that you're gonna be hearing. Those audience reaction videos on YouTube that you can watch? There's definitely gonna be one of those for this movie, and I can't wait to watch it. It's an experience, you gotta live it. So yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane had great acting, great score, great plot, great world, great feeling. You feel uncomfortable as hell as you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. It gets in your head, I love movies that get in your head and mess with your psyche. That is what defines this movie as a psychological horror film. That's pretty much what it is. All in all, what I'm trying to say is, go see this movie right now. First one of the year, I'm so happy. So 10 Cloverfield Lane, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.